the station that's on your side. This is News 12, first at 4.
The investigation continues after a deadly shooting on a movie set in Mexico. New concerns are coming out about what happened before the shooting and if rules were followed. But first, today's the day COVID booster rollout starts here in Georgia. If you're eligible, you can now go get any of the 3 COVID booster shots. Our Claire Allen joins me right now in the studio to break down who needs to get one, when they should get it, and which one.
That's right. Doctors at AU recommend that whatever vaccine you received first and your second dose, you should follow up with the same vaccine for your booster. But they also say if you have two, you can mix and match and stay safe. People who are eligible for the booster shots include anyone 65 and older, anyone who is 18 and older with underlying health issues, or anyone who is autoimmune compromised. Folks 18 and older who live or work in at-risk places also qualify. Up until today, only Pfizer boosters were available, but now anyone who got the Moderna or J&J initially can get a booster. But here's the difference. If you have J&J vaccine, the CDC is now recommending after 2 months of your first shot, you are eligible for a second dose, which builds your immunity. Doctors say that the second dose can be another dose of J&J, or it can be a dose of Pfizer or Moderna. Again, doctors say if you can get the same vaccine as before, do that. But if it's not available to you, research from the National Institute of Health shows mixing and matching doses is effective and safe.
We have someone that's had J&J regardless of their age. We recommend strongly that they receive a second dose of either J&J, Pfizer, or Moderna. What we see is that the impact or the effectiveness of the vaccine goes from somewhere in the high 60s to well over 90%. And that puts the J&J vaccine with a second dose in line with what we saw with 2 doses of Pfizer or 2 doses of Moderna. So strongly recommended for those who have received J&J to receive a booster dose of any type.
And later on at 6, I am working on a story to see how many people have received a booster so far and what doctors say needs to get done to get this booster shot soon.
Thanks so much, Claire. Happening now, the Food and Drug Administration is taking a look at Pfizer's COVID vaccine for kids. This will be the first step to get shots in arms for kids ages 5 to 11. If they vote yes for the shots, they could begin rolling out as soon as next week. Moderna is also planning to show their data on kid vaccines soon. Much more news ahead on the movie set. Executives from YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat were grilled by senators about what they're doing to keep kids safe online. The hearing followed testimony from a former Facebook data scientist who says Instagram's photo sharing service appears to seriously harm kids. Skylar Henry breaks down the hearing.
In a Senate Commerce Subcommittee hearing, Utah Senator Mike Lee challenged Snapchat executive Jennifer Stout. His staff created an account for a 15-year-old with no preferences and says what showed up on the social media app was wildly inappropriate for a child.
Tips on, quote, why you shouldn't go to bars alone, notices for video games that are rated for ages 17 and up, and articles about porn stars.
I am unfamiliar and I've taken notes about what you have said that your account surfaced.
Stout joined executives from YouTube and TikTok, answering questions about how their apps are looking out for children on issues from privacy to safety.
He was suffering from dental pain.
Senator Amy Klobuchar shared the story of 19-year-old Devin Noring of Minnesota, who died after taking fentanyl-laced Percocet that he bought on Snapchat.
We have deployed proactive detection measures to get in ahead of what the drug dealers are doing. They are constantly evading our tactics.
I think there's other ways to do this too, as creating liability when this happens, so maybe that'll make you work even faster so we don't lose another kid.
Earlier this month, one Facebook whistleblower told lawmakers the company prioritized profit over user safety, even going as far as generating algorithms potentially exposing children to dangerous content. Frances Haugen, the former Facebook employee who sounded the alarm, testified before a UK Parliament Joint Committee Monday.
Facebook's own research says now the bullying follows children home. It goes into their bedrooms.
Lawmakers also expressed concerns that TikTok is tied to China's communist government, allegations the app's parent company, ByteDance, denies.
If it were not accurate, you would answer the questions, and you have dodged the questions more than any witness I have seen in my 9 years serving in the Senate.
The company says it stores all of TikTok's U.S. data in the United States and has recently tightened its privacy practices for children. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
There are at least 2 bills senators are working on to protect kids. One would make it illegal for social media companies to track a young user's data. The other would make social media companies legally responsible if a child is exploited on an app. A local woman is getting...
And looking good for any trick-or-treaters out there Saturday and Sunday.
Sounds great, Riley. Thank you. Richmond County students checking out some opportunities in the technical career field today. The district came together with the city to host a workshop at the Technical Career Magnet School. Looks like kind of a fun place to be.
Yeah, the 40-foot Be Proud trailer shows off a variety of different technical jobs. Students say it's a good alternative for people who aren't planning to go to college.
There was a student earlier that he really loved the welding and he was teaching other students about it, and I thought that was really cool. The students are they're loving it for the most part, and usually when they mention the salary, they're really excited about that too.
Yeah, note about that. Yeah, you get paid good money in the tech field, kids. People with the city say they're excited to show these students the type of careers, the type of jobs that are available right now here in Augusta.
We do continue to follow some developments in the last hour.
Field kids. People with the city say they're excited to show these students the type of careers, the type of jobs that are available right now here in Augusta.
We do continue to follow some developments in the last hour. An FDA advisory panel has backed the use of Pfizer and the vaccine for children ages 5 to 11. Alice Barr breaks down what's needed to get younger children vaccinated.
Moore voted yes. Dr. Wharton voted yes.
Pfizer COVID vaccines for children as young as 5 are one step closer after an FDA advisory panel voted today to recommend them.
It is pretty clear to me that the benefits do outweigh the risk.
Pfizer data under review shows its child-sized doses are more than 90% effective at preventing symptomatic infection in 5 to 11-year-olds.
The data that they're going to be presented in pour-over is going to show that it is extremely safe.
One focal point, mild inflammation of the heart that appeared in some older teens and young adults post-vaccine. There were no documented cases in the study of 5 to 11-year-olds, and doctors say the risk is higher from getting COVID.
It actually causes myocarditis at far higher rates than what we see with vaccination.
Many parents are eager to sign their kids up for the shots.
I'm very hopeful that they will approve that. I think anything to keep our kids safer.
But a recent poll shows they may be in the minority, with only 30% of parents planning to get their children vaccinated right away.
I think, honestly, a solid year of testing and people, really working up the kinks in it will do us better.
That's worrying for many doctors who say vaccinating elementary-age kids will be key in getting the pandemic under control.
Not only can they get sick, but they can also spread it to others, and that's the big concern.
Though pediatric COVID deaths are rare, more than 700 children have died from the virus since the pandemic began. The CDC weighs in next week before a final decision that could allow shots in arms by early November.
Pfizer is also conducting trials in children younger than 5. Moderna plans to submit its trial results to federal regulators soon. And something important to note here, the Pfizer vaccine for children is about a third of the adult dose, so it is not the same high dose that adults have been receiving. Hippos, animal rights activists.
From the station that's on your side, breaking news.
Breaking in just the last hour, a mistrial for these former deputies accused of murdering Yuri Martin. Those involved have waited 4 years for this trial.
Our Kennedy Harris has been in the courtroom since day one and shows us the atmosphere there.
After more than 10 hours of deliberation starting on Friday, the judge has declared this a mistrial, which means the defendants have not been proven neither innocent or guilty. And the judge also says it is very likely that this case will be retried again in the future. And the defendant's bond remains in effect in the meantime. The jury started deliberations first on Friday, and the judge called the entire jury back into the courtroom just a few hours ago, and he asked them if they thought they could reach a verdict with more deliberation time. All of the jury members said no. After that, the defense made a motion for a mistrial. The state did not object, and the judge granted that order calling for a mistrial. Shortly after, outside of the courtroom, local activists expressed their frustration on how long this case has been going. We'll have more information on all of this at 6 o'clock. Reporting from Sandersville, Kennedy Harris, on your side.
Kennedy, thank you very much for that. Let's have a look outside as we check in with...
From the station that's on your side, breaking news.
Good evening. We begin with this breaking news out of Washington County. Some new reaction coming in after that judge declared a mistrial today in the murder trial of 3 former deputies accused of tasing a man to death.
The judge just came down with that decision in the last hour and a half after the jury spent 3 days deliberating but could not reach a verdict.
Now, local activists are responding, and News 12's Kennedy Harris is on the ground there in Sandersville with what happens now.
The trial lasted for 7 days total. The jury deliberated for 3 days, more than 12 hours worth of deliberation. The jurors told the judge that no one had changed their opinion since Friday. It was a mixed reaction from the family of Uri Martin after that announcement in the courtroom. Same for the defendants, because a mistrial means they still haven't been proven innocent or guilty. The judge advised them that due to the severity of the case, the state will likely retry it again in the future. In order to come to that decision, the judge called the jury to the courtroom and asked when was the last time anyone changed their opinion. The jury said Friday. He asked if they felt like more deliberation would help. They all said no. The defense made a motion for a mistrial, and the state did not object. Shortly after, local activists that had been attending the trial since the start went outside to express their frustrations as the ex-deputies drove off with their families.
I don't like what transpired in that courtroom as how they tortured Mr. Martin 4 years ago, and then the family had to relive this same torture on them. And the jury, they wasn't impartial, and it's because there was a black man. So I don't even feel protected. I don't feel safe in Washington County. I could be the next victim that be killed by white officers.
And as you just heard there, the tensions were very high outside of this courtroom after that announcement. Again, the judge says it is likely that the state will retry this case again in the future with a new jury. Reporting in Sandersville, Kennedy Harris, on your side.
Kennedy, thank you for that. There's much more news to come.
The full forecast in just about 10 minutes.
Also this evening, a new solution on the table to fight homelessness in Augusta.
The Salvation Army wants to team up with businesses on Broad Street to cut down on panhandling while also getting the homeless more help.
News 12 Sloan O'Connor live for us there, Mellow Mushroom on Broad Street to break down how this plan would work.
Exactly. Well, this is where it all started. The guys behind the idea were out here eating when a panhandler approached them asking for money, and they asked their waitress, does this happen often here? And she said yes, and so they knew there was a lot of work to do, and now they're making a big difference with something small.
There is no reason for a person to be homeless in Augusta. There's no reason for a person to be hungry. All of the resources are there. It's a matter of us all communicating with each other and getting the word out. And that's a big part of this too.
This small card is going to make a big difference.
For the person in need of help, this is a blessing. For the person looking for a hustle, looking for a little extra money, this is a no.
But a compassionate no, because this card is an answer. On one side is a map to the Salvation Army Center of Hope, and the other has information on their services they provide.
Can go there and receive food, shelter, clothing, utilities assistance, job skills training. It's all provided free of charge, just a couple of blocks from where we sit right here.
Right here on Broad Street, where more red stickers like these will start popping up over the next 60 days. Any business with these stickers has the cards inside to give everyone a chance.
To be able to help the homeless, people in need, but also to be able to educate people to tell them what to do, how to help them.
The next step, talk with the transportation department to turn these cards into bus tickets so homeless people in areas other than Broad Street can be brought to the Center of Hope, and show the resources are there for anyone without having to hand out money.
They presented the idea in front of commission today, and soon it will go to committees to talk about turning this into a ticket for the bus. But as of right now, you can go down to the Kroc Center and pick up your own so you can hand them out yourself.
Interesting approach. Only time will tell to see how people respond there on the street. Sloan, thank you.
New details after a 6-year-old girl is shot in the head in Aiken County. We are learning she is still in the hospital receiving treatment. The girl's grandmother tells us they were sleeping inside her home on Lawrence Street Sunday morning when someone fired shots inside around 2 a.m. And we're now learning another child was in the home at the time of that shooting too, but was okay. The sheriff's office says it does not have any suspect information right now, and if you know anything that could help their investigation, you're asked to call them at the number here on your screen, 803-642-1761.
The race for Augusta mayor is heating up.
28 million kids are one step closer to being able to receive a COVID vaccine. Just in the last 2 hours, an advisory panel recommended the FDA make the Pfizer vaccine available to kids ages 5 to 11. Now, this recommendation is for a 2-shot series. Doses would be about a third of the size of the Pfizer doses that people 12 and up are getting. Pfizer reports his vaccine is more than 90% effective in preventing COVID-19. Ultimately, the committee voted the vaccine's benefits outweigh potential risks, pointing to an increased but still rare risk of heart inflammation. But some committee members had concerns about that risk and if every child needs the vaccine.
This vaccine should be available for those parents who are very eager to get it for their child, and because their child has a comorbidity or they're concerned themselves. But I'm just worried that if we say yes, that the states are going to mandate administration of this vaccine to children in order to go to school, and I do not agree with that.
The FDA will now decide if it'll take the panel's recommendation to authorize the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds. Then a CDC committee will talk more about it all next week. New today, Georgians now have 3 options when it comes to booster shots.
While Pfizer boosters have been out for about a month now, today is the first day the state's offering boosters of Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines.
News 12's Claire Allen live in our studio with what booster local doctors say is best for you.
And so far, we've seen about 13.8 million people get booster shots across the country. As more booster shots roll out and more sleeves roll up, our local experts recommend you stick to the same booster as your vaccine. Until today, only Pfizer boosters were available, but now anyone who got Moderna or J&J initially can get the matching booster.
You've had J&J, the one-shot vaccine. After 2 months, you're eligible for a second dose. That second dose can be another dose of J&J, it can be a dose of Pfizer, or it can be a dose of Moderna. If you receive Pfizer or Moderna for your first and second, the recommendation is to continue with Pfizer or Moderna for your third vaccination.
Doctors at AU say you need a booster if you are 65 and older, or if you have an underlying health issue.
Anyone that has an immunocompromised state, whether that is because of disease state or because of medications they take that suppress their immune system. Age is a predictor of decreased immune response, and the immune response is what keeps us the most safe from COVID-19.
Research from the National Institutes of Health show mixing and matching doses is effective and safe, but AU recommends, if you can, stick with the same dose.
Whatever vaccine an individual has received for their prime series that are mRNA, so the Pfizer or the Moderna vaccine, we recommend that you receive the same vaccine you received for your booster dose or your...
If you receive the J&J vaccine, the CDC is now recommending after 2 months of your first shot, you are eligible for a second dose, which will build your immunity.
What we see is that the impact or the effectiveness of the vaccine goes from somewhere in the high 60s to well over 90%. And that puts the J&J vaccine with a second dose in line with what we saw with 2 doses of Pfizer or 2 doses of Moderna.
Doctors also say side effects from the boosters can mimic what you have experienced during your first and second doses. Things like soreness, fevers, and chills. But that should go away after a day or so.
Okay, good to hear from the experts. Claire, thank you. Starting this Saturday in Augusta, you can get $100 gift cards for your first and second dose of the COVID vaccine. Previously, you only got the gift card after your second shot, but Augusta commissioners voted yes to this afternoon. There will also be a mass vaccination clinic this Saturday at the James Brown Arena from 10 to 2.
Well, these new changes at Fort Gordon causing some confusion and some traffic backups. Going to give you a look at the current gate situation. If you don't know already,